y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Nicole with the Bushel and a Pick Designs. Welcome to day one of our dad inspired series. For this, I'm starting out with a 20-ounce straight tumbler from the Tumbler supply store. I spray painted it white and then I epoxied it, and I added a little bit of this white mica powder. This one is just from an Amazon set I got. I really like it, and I just wanted to give it a little bit of a shimmer. I didn't want it glittery. I just wanted it to kind of have more of an opally shimmer and not just plain white. So once that was all cured, I cut this distressed American flag out of black vinyl. There was a little bit of a mark on the top of this tumbler, and I sanded it out, but you could still see it a little bit. So I just made sure to place this vinyl over that little spot to hide it and camouflage it. And I'm just applying this vinyl, and then I'm going to give it a coat of epoxy before we do anything else. Once that epoxy is cured and dry, I took some double-sided sticky sheets. I also got those from Amazon, and I cut a really large V out of it and the letters Dad. And I've struggled with this double-sided sticky sheets. They're good as long as you have large designs. If you have small intricate things, I have found that they rip and they just don't cut very good. So I wanted to use foils on this, and my favorite way to use foils other than the foil glue is to use double-sided tape, and I didn't have any that was this thick, so I thought this was the perfect way to add some fun elements in shape form. So I am placing this V right over that flag. We're just going to do like a split over the flag, and I'm trying to line it up and figure out exactly where I want it to be laid down. Once I was happy with that position, I held it in place the best that I could and just added a little bit of painter's tape to hold it in place. And then I am going to cut a little bit of the backing off and then slowly pull back on the backing and rub down that tape with my fingers, because I do not want to chance getting any bubbles or wrinkles in this, because the foil will show every imperfection. So I'm just very careful with that. When I pulled off the painter's tape, it did rip a little bit of the backing, but I wasn't worried about it because we're pulling off that backing anyways, so it didn't really matter. So I am very carefully rubbing in and just carefully placing down that double sticky V. This one did go over the edge just a little bit, so I'm going to trim that off. And then I am going to place the dad word on there. And the best way that I could think to do this, because it was hard to see with it all being white, was to just place a piece of painter's tape across the whole thing and then line it up, place it where I want it on the tumbler, and then do the same thing. Just peel off that backing and then peel up the top portion, or peel up that tape, I mean. Now I thought of there was many different colors that I could use for this foil, but I picked this coppery orange one. My husband owns a Harley, so I'm kind of biased to the black and orange. So we are going with orange. And I am going to peel up all the top portion of the dad letters first, and then I'm going to place that foil down and really rub it in to make sure that I get really good coverage. And I found that once I rubbed it in really well, if I lifted it just a little bit and then placed it back down and then rubbed it again, it gave it a really good texture. When I first lifted it, right after I rubbed it, it had a really smooth look to it, but when I lifted it and then put it back down and rubbed it again, it gave it more of a textury texture, and I really liked the way that looked. So that is how I ended up applying it. So you can see it's kind of smooth, but then when I'm rubbing it here again, when I lift it, you'll see it kind of has a little bit different of a texture. I absolutely love doing foils with double-sided sticky tape because it gives me such perfect, clean, crisp lines. I mean, I love using the foil glue from our artistic painting studio, but there's just something about these clean, crisp lines that double-sided tape gives me that I absolutely love. So I'm going to just take some little sections that I had and place that on the V. And then I'm going to do the same thing, rub that in, lift it a little bit, and then rub it again. And then what you'll see is where the two pieces met, there was like a slight little line from like the crease, I guess. And all I did after I lifted everything was I took a piece and just rubbed it into those lines and any spot that I happened to miss or didn't get a good rub down on, and it cleaned up those spaces perfectly, and you will never know that they were even there. After that, I gave it another coat of epoxy, and then we will move on to this next step. So then I decided I was going to just cut a generic looking motorcycle out of black vinyl. So I am positioning that kind of in the center of the dad word, and then we cut the word biker to go above dad, so this could be a real grungy biker dad looking tumbler. After that, before I move on to the next step, I took it outside and I gave it a little sputtering of black spray paint. I just used some matte black from Iron Lac brand. I get that from Hobby Lobby. And then I decided I didn't like it splattered over the orange section, so I took a little bit of rubbing alcohol. No, I didn't take rubbing alcohol. I think it was acetone on a paper towel, and I'm just lightly washing it off of that V and the dad words. And be very careful because there was a spot that I rubbed too hard and it rubbed a little bit of that epoxy off and down into the orange or something. I don't know how it happened, but that's it. Then I gave it 2 final coats of epoxy, and this cool biker dad tumbler was all done. It's fairly simple, but I loved the mixture of the black grungy texture in the American flag and the splatter with the pop of orange foil to really just give it a really cool dad look. I hope that I have inspired you in one way or another, and don't forget to follow me on all the social media platforms, and as usual, all of the information where to find me and all of the products that I use will be listed down in the description box. I will be back again tomorrow, and this one will be available on my website. So if you want it, go snag it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.